All right, I'm here. Gem Collector Show with Shawn. I am Shawn, and I am as fired up to do this show as I have been for the last two shows, especially because, ever kind of hitting that little treasure trove of undiscovered, or put it this way, rediscovered specimens that I hadn't seen in quite some time. I've added to that cache. Let's say in other words, I found another little side vein to the mother lode that is going to provide some less expensive items in today's show, some unique items, and, depending on how it goes, every item I show in this show may be one you have never seen before. So look forward to that. Let's get started with the comments and then move on to the trivia. There'll be a trivia winner because I think I made it easy enough for there to be one. And let me see, anything else to cover? No, looking forward to fall. I'm sure all of y'all are. How do you like that? All of y'all. Okay, so I think it's part of that storm that's coming up from Cajun country, bringing in a little bit of that gumbo rain and accent to go along with it, which is in southern Louisiana. There's a mix of everything from, boy, I'm really dropping into that drawl. I better just move on and start reading. Okay, we have Mr. Anthony, who again, wonderfully is back from his travels and adding to, so remember, he said he had gotten that piece of rhodochrosite, and I said, oh, send me a picture. And of course, due to the constraints of the show and the amount of ink I had in the printer, I couldn't print the picture out. I'd show everybody. But he did send me the picture, so it allows me to be able to answer a question of his. He says, started slicing it already. It's a 1/4 inch thick, not very gemmy, but nice color. And I like the matrix, which I'm pretty sure you told us what that matrix is. But for the life of me, I cannot remember what it is. Okay, so some of the main things to help figure out something like that is you start off with what is known. So we all know and can picture rhodochrosite, and we already discussed in the last show that he said it was where he bought it from in Italy. They said it was from South America. Well, pretty much only one place in South America pretty much is going to produce rhodochrosite. And that is, well, I say that. The rhodochrosite he was talking about, the banded. Peruvian rhodochrosite, that's another story. Argentinian rhodochrosite is the cabochon quality, the banded quality. And in the banded quality, there are the white bands you're going to see in it. There are going to be the pink bands, the Inca rose, as it's known, and it's their national gemstone. And then there is those areas that we all think of are as matrix, but are a translucent brownish color, and actually anywhere from tan to a brownish color. And it actually takes a really nice polish, that material, and is different altogether. Well, you can sort those out using fluorescence and whatnot, what is what. But in general, if you have, the manganese, the pink is a carbonate. Therefore, carbonates like to hang out together. The chances that the white banding is going to be either a kind of a low manganese rhodochrosite, more than likely going to be leaning towards calcite, carbonate, and then that tan color to the really attractive brownish color because of the translucency to it, siderite, the iron carbonate. And that's pretty much where you can get. Now, you can have variations of that and some overlapping of colors, and it still be rhodochrosite and whatnot. But in general, that's one way to remember just the families of carbonates. So he sent me the picture of it, and boy, hey, Anthony, that is a lot gemmier than I thought it would be when you said it's not very gemmy. That is a decent piece of rhodochrosite and well worth the money that you paid for it. I couldn't have sold it to you for that price. So even though those pieces I've sold have been really nice quality, they've had to be more money. You got a good deal. So wise move to get it. Then in another comment, Mr. Anthony from Massachusetts says, hello all. Are you kidding me? I love the Boulder Opal. Thank you. Remember, he won the trivia prize last week. And It was a boulder opal that was even thick enough to be drilled for a nice width type of chain or cord, whatnot. So it's funny because, I remember now how much Anthony likes opal. And I would normally think it was odd, but the magic of the show has it such that it's not such an unusual thing for that piece to wind up right where it is supposed to be and needed to be. Just like opal played a part with between Brad and Penny as far as showing goodwill to all. Yeah, opal, my favorite stone, and my son's birthstone and my mom's birthstone. So great stuff going on with opal. Mr. Anthony goes on to say, so are you kidding me? I love boulder opal. Thank you, thank you. That's got some nice color. Thanks to you and Asif for taking the time to show the Alween lazurite specimen. That was so cool. I only wish I could have gotten it. I did, however, score the azurite malachite floater piece. I was wondering, and I was hoping someone would tell me who got that piece, because that was by way of really a special value. I guess I'll put it that way. Cleverly purchased, because value on that kind of piece can be found to be much greater than what you paid for it. So let's just put it that way. Besides it being so interesting with, that was the one where, of course, the azurites often, you never really see it the other way. Azurite is always pseudomorphed by malachite. And of course, you can always tell, because azurite doesn't form in the crystal system, that azurite will. So in that floater piece, you could see where it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I can't help but to look at that and think of that movie every time, or the 3 different versions of it, where the malachite was replacing, of course, the oldest original one, which some of these young whippersnappers probably weren't even born when that first version came out. Actually, I think there's 4 versions of that. Yeah, there's one predating the 1970s version. Anyway, it is really neat how things pseudomorph. And the malachite overtaking azurite is always a classic. The 2 rivalries, very, very, very similar in chemistry, always and almost found together. So I always picture them seeing who can win out, in my anthropomorphic mind. Transferring human properties to animals is bad enough. I can kind of understand that anymore, being how much I like my cat. Yeah, which I really did. Best cat ever. And transferring human properties to animals, okay? But when you start transferring human properties to your mineral specimens, well, okay, there's nothing wrong with you. It just makes me feel more normal. Okay, now, let's see. Next, we have, and that was great, because for Asif to, when I said, can I slide that specimen in? Because it was one of the most dynamic ones I had, and then we all had fun showing the fluorescence on it. And we're going to read on, but that was also one of the more expensive ones, and it sold. It sold. We'll see who winds up with it. Miss Cindy says, hello, Rock family. Shawn, another excellent show. You, Asif, and Latif work so well together. And 3 red hearts we got. And I'm sure, knowing Miss Cindy and her emoji hearts, that the 3 hearts was intentionally meant for us 3 amigos. I got the trivia contest prizes, and they were like trying to break into a bank vault to remove from the packaging. So I've heard, and yours weren't even that breakable. You should see how freaked out I have them when it's something even more so. Now, I don't know if anyone got that malachite specimen that had all those acicular needles around it, because I even told Miss Christie that I would particularly be the one to wrap it if it sold. But between Kevin and Christy on those kind of items, they actually do it themselves. So on those really particular ones. which is, I think, pretty cool. So they get the best of attention and care. And I think that shipping does such a great job that they would prefer to overpack my items and then underpack, because they don't have a sense of, whether the incredible nephrite, jade, mortar, and pestle is going to be any more fragile because of what it is, or if it was glass. So, nor would anyone else understand the dynamics of and the chemistry behind, molecular bonds, and that you could probably drop that on your toe or drop it and then it'd be fine. Whereas, of course, a piece of glass would shatter. So, yet someone would think, jade would be so fragile and that kind of thing, but no, not the case. So I am glad to hear that they take the care that they do, though. Certainly better that way. And the number of items that have over 16 years of incredibly complicated items to pack and ship. The scoliocytes, look at those. And even other items, carvings years prior, the percent that has ever been damaged due to anything to do with a shipping, packing issue, not say shipping. Now, shipping, that's a different matter. How it gets after it leaves the door here to you, who knows what it goes through. But the packing end of it, been negligible, the number of issues that have been created from it. So they do a great job, and I have always told them as such. Miss Cindy goes on to say, I got the trivia and loved, of course, about the packaging. You would think the rarest gems in the world were wrapped up in the package. LOL. And that's great. That's awesome to hear. So, and besides, it's all about anticipation, right? Opening that box, kind of like waiting on the ketchup to come out. Speaking of waiting, trivia answers, right? I know. So I think the other answers I read, those from Mr. Anthony, he, of course, recently won, so I don't think he participated because, you can still answer and just opt out if you want. Questions were to the trivia. Question 1 was, what is another name for golden beryl? Now, come on. Kind of easy for you guys at your level, right? But that's okay if you're new or don't remember. A lot of people actually don't, because it's such an kind of unusual word. Heliodor, right? Heliodor. Now, you know what? For backup, one of the people that would know these things way before us is Miss Penny. Because almost all of these words, their root of the word is Greek. And so when I do my research, it's like, wow, I know. My wasted profession, whether I should have been, I think I said this the other week, a lawyer. I could have put that to good use over the years, I don't know about this rock hunting stuff and this, cutting stones. In the practical life, how much good it's done me. Or a car mechanic, yep, could have put that to good use. And then the other thing would be knowing Greek. Yeah. Oh, like every single word in the olden days, back in the, Aween days, or Awi, just Awi, the great mineralogists, of their day, that everything was Greek. Now I'm starting to get the pun to that. That was how they based the root words, that or Latin. And so I've almost learned, actually, when I think about languages, I've learned more Greek words due to the root word of mineral specimens than, I guess it might be my third language, huh? So let's see. That was question 1. Question 2. So speaking of Awi, we have Aween fluoresces orange. What mineral is similar but doesn't? And that's how you tell the two apart, because they're often, or it can be, found together. And it is such a distinct and definitive way that you're done after that. In that specimen, I could put that fluorescent light on, and the Halloween specimen just glows a dynamic orange, dynamic. And the lazurite doesn't glow at all. Lazurite, of course, being the root mineral of the rock, I should say, lapis lazuli. And so technically, you're going to seek, over time, as they attempt to do slowly away with the use of lapis lazuli, because it really is a kind of misleading. For one, lazuli sounds like lazulite, which has nothing to do with lazurite. It has to do with lazurite. And it's actually a sulfur-dominant alwine. So lapis lazuli should be described as a rock containing pyrite, calcite, and then alwine. And regarding the pronunciation of alwine, alwyn is another way that you will, or maybe could hear outside of me, it pronounced. Again, you use the different pronunciations if you go and do the internet search and punch them in. Very seldom on these unusual words will I get, out of the three primary ones that will give pronunciations as far as the sites, never had I had all three be the same. Of course, if it's like ruby or emerald, yeah. But unusual words like we run across in the mineral kingdom, like alwine. So I'm just used to saying that way. I heard even on Mindat, alwyn was one, but that's not one because I go by just alwine, the way the original person that it was named after or named for, etc. I believe his pronunciation, H-A-U-Y. Now it's with one of those little umlaut things or whatever they call them. Not my alphabet, but I hear and understand his pronunciation is to be alwine. So you add the N-E to it, because at one time it was alwinite. It wasn't awenite. Awenite would be more confusing, I would think. So you go with alwine and add the N-E to it, alwine. That's how I get to it. But if you took the pronunciation of alwyn, then going back to when it was called for a short period of time, and I'm talking like 100 years ago, would have been alwynite, and that was not the way it was pronounced when it was alwynite. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on how I get to alwyn, and that in time you will have to learn how to pronounce it the way you want to as well, because it is not a rock made up of calcite, pyrite, and lazurite. Technically, it has been scientifically debunked that it is absolutely a sulfur-dominant alwine. And there you have it. But all of us are going to go on calling it lapis lazuli, and we're all going to think it's made up of those other three minerals, except, of course, for me and my lone self out there plugging away, trying to change the world about the pronunciation of fuchsite and some others. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The poor little guy that his name was so mispronounced for so long. Kenichi Sugi. So it wasn't Suji, it was Sugi. Therefore, and if you can actually look this up and it says that, the proper pronunciation for sugilite is sugilite, not sugilite, as everyone knows it to be. It was named in 1945 for Kenichi Tsuji, who first discovered it on a Japanese island, and Kenichi Tsugi. And so, therefore, it is sugilite if it's to be named after it. So there you have it. I just wanted everyone to know so that when they name a mineral after me, they know how to correctly pronounce it and, not to call it something that would be incorrect. All right, now, here we go. Miss Cindy getting the answers right. Heliodor and lazurite. Because I probably could have played a little bit of a trick there, but since I didn't go back over that information about lazurite and the sulfur-dominant alwine in relationship to lapis, so I could have reworded that to be a trick question. All right. Miss Cindy finishes with, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. Fave this week was the Australian dendritic opal. That's cool. That is cool because, of course, opal can't go wrong there. And, that was part of my collection being opal. And thought I would share it because it's not an agate. Nope. There's a difference. There is a definite difference. Geologically, chemically. And structurally, I guess I should say. Yeah. Miss Barbara says, hi, Professor Shawn, Raven, GSN crew, and the whole Rock family. Nice 3-hour program this week with all new merch. Have lots of random thoughts today. Love the fish shirt and the interplay with the crew. I do too. And you see, when I wear the one fish shirt, I like to wear the other. Now, this may not be quite so obvious, but we have trout on here. And yes, in my mind, I'm a trout fisherman. I even tied my own little hand ties for a while, only because I like to do stuff with my hands. So, I had to find kind of some other hobby, right? It also gave me a reason to collect roadkill. Not to eat, like some people might think of us, people in the South. But birds, feathers, that's why. So ladies, I know a lot of you are great fishermen as well. And in case you didn't know it, why you would collect roadkill is because all the different little hairs from, depending on what kind of animal it is, or bird, have different type of flotation. And I am not and was never a fly tire. I wouldn't call myself one. I just dabbled in tying your own flies. So some you can make that'll sink, and others you can make that'll float and make it look like a mayfly hatch different times a year. People are so into that. They know what little grub larva is hatching up out of the stream bed at any given time to float to the surface for the trout to eat them and all that. And so they make the ties to look like that. And there is a science to that. And I have to hint it out. That's like, if you're going to hunt, doing real hunting, the kind of up close, bow and arrow, but not crossbow. Just old-fashioned, where you give it a fair shot. Well, same thing with, if you tie your own flies for fishing, I think that is the ultimate test in man against nature, so to speak, in trying to fool the fish and to think you have something real, something edible. So I think that part of it's kind of cool. Gives the fish a really big chance. And also, if you use barbless hooks, that's the other thing that, remember I had 2 trout ponds. I created 2 trout ponds in both my mountain homes, the one up in Saltee outside Helen, Georgia, and the one I live at now, and stocked both of them with trout. So I'm real familiar not only with trout in itself, but raising trout. And I used to let the kids in the White County or the outside Helen pond to let little children that you could catch. I had in there 5-pound trout, and provided that they threw it back because it was barbless hook. So minimal issue for as far as wounding the fish or anything like that. And it was only if they were children. I wouldn't let adults even do that. I wouldn't even do that unless I wanted to eat one. And then it was a really fun fight. But where I'm at now, I stocked it 2 different times with about 250 trout. Both times, Mother Nature got every one of them. And I would set up a critter camera, and I had, and you're talking about a little tiny pond. I'm talking about maybe, well, it was a stream run, maybe 80 feet long by 4 feet wide, maybe 3 feet deep kind of thing, with curves and places to hide and everything. Set up a camera. Great blue heron. How it even saw that waterway through the trees from high above, I have no idea. Great blue heron and a bear, or plural bears. Yep, cleaned it out twice. So that was it. That's expensive. Okay, enough about that. So anyway, fish shirt, that's where we started. Those are the good days when I got a chance to go out there. But I have a canoe and 2 kayaks, and the Etowah River almost in my back door. So there's a 7-mile stretch that I'm able to put in and then take out, use 2 vehicles. And the entire way, and this is amazing because the county, Forsyth County, is a metro county, but the northern parts of it where I am in, it starts off in Dawson County, where the section of the Etowah River, I will not see one other telephone pole, one other power line. You won't hear any humanity. There's no roads nearby. There is not a single sign of any modern thing. So you can easily go back and just let the river take you if that's the speed you want to go, and lose yourself in dropping back in time. There is a story to this that relates to this, because along the way there has been proven archaeological digs that showed where the native Cherokee had actually mined and panned, or mined, their method of mining for gold, prior to the Spaniards coming across North Georgia, the conquistadors. And that's a big thing, because they knew gold was there. They revered gold. But when the Cherokee Nation was pretty much overrun and Trail of Tears shipped out to Oklahoma, they never found the Cherokee gold. There was never a big cache of it found. There was never even any ornamental other than the minuscule amounts. So there's that big lore of someone finding the Cherokee gold, and a lot more stories to that one, though. And I like to buy into those kind of stuff. Superstitions and gold out there, not so much. But there's truly gold left to be found. So anyway, trout fishing brings back memories, because I always make it a combo trip when I go. I'll take my fishing pole, my metal detector, my gold panning stuff, because there's a lot of excellent bends in the river that leave a deposit of gravel, which all kinds of stuff to be found there. So a combination of items, and I just make a day of it. I took my son down there, and so yeah, it's a good time. I need to get out there this fall again. So let's see where we leave off. Love the fish shirt. That's right. And the interplay with the crew. You were starting to get that orange UV. Yes, we were. It was fun trying to get that to happen, but we have tried that year and year, and maybe as the cameras change out and quality goes up, we always keep trying, I especially. But without their encouragement, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we did. So I love when they jump in and interact and help me out. Probably the most common mineral changes caused by proximity to radioactivity is smoky quartz. Very true. And that's why if you see that black smoky quartz that is so black that if you shine a light behind it, it's like no light passes through, that is absolutely radiated. Well, I say that, but okay. It's kind of like heat-treated ruby or sapphire, okay? Just assume if it's going to be that dark that it has been treated, especially if the entire thing is. But if it's like, shaded in color, what would look natural. But that really dark material where all the crystals have the same density of color and whatnot, yeah, that, unfortunately, they've been doing that to smoky quartz for a while. So yes, Miss Barbara, you are correct about that. Smoky quartz is, by natural radiation, is definitely affected. Yes, I also value photographs that have something in them to indicate size. Failing that, I treasure magazines which note the size of the specimen in the picture captions. So do I. Guess you'd have to influence one of the famous mineral photographers like Jeff Scoble or the new guy, Laszlo Kupi, into including size items in their beauty shots. But I think the specimen owners are probably happy with nebulous size. Exactly. If they can be ambiguous and you think you're looking at a huge specimen. And again, it gets me every time. And that's why I really appreciate Mindat puts in the actual millimeters, or it doesn't matter, whatever unit of measurement they want to use, I will transpose it to what my mind will know that 90% of the time it is way smaller than my mind wants to interpret these specimens to be. Then it's hard for me to wrap my head around it because my brain's wanting to think they're like this, and so my brain has to scale it down into specimens that, wait till you see an androdite today. Okay, here, I'll give you a little, I never do this because I don't want anyone fast forwarding, but no, I'm not. Actually, I'm not going to, I'm such a tease. I have a specimen that would look museum quality if it wasn't a size less than what a picture of it would look like. And that is the case with so many of these others. And then I saw one the other day. The color of these couple minerals together, it was a beautiful purple. The needles were acicular. It's like, oh my goodness, how could Mother Nature, how could they even mine this and get this out of the pocket without these crystals being broken and all this and that? I'm going on and on about how perfect, the clashing of colors. Then I got to, this is honest to goodness truth, the description about the lenses, and some of them will actually tell you, these are the real camera geeks that are into taking these kind of shots, the camera equipment they use to be able to do it. The one I actually looked at, the field of view. So you'll see that if you ever wonder what FOV means, that's what you'll see oftentimes before measurements. Field of view, what you're actually looking at. It was 2 millimeters. 2 millimeters. Now, let's see, how big is 2 millimeters? Well, how about this? 1/12 of an inch, 25 millimeters to an inch kind of thing. The amount I cut out to size your ring down, one size, is 2.5 millimeters. Let's see, what else can I use? 2 millimeters is really small in the world of crystallography. But maybe I should reverse that around. In the world of crystallography, 2 millimeters can be 2 feet because so many of these ultra rare minerals and incredible little, incredible views that you get of these minerals are often in these tiny little pockets that don't get damaged through the process of mining, extraction, other changes in the chemistry and whatnot. They can easier preserve these small little voids where some of these minerals can grow and form and not get damaged upon their removal. And so you can still have and capture these. And we've seen them, pieces I've shown. And zooming in, can you imagine that just as blown up in a regular picture without any size reference? And, it looks like something from the Smithsonian. So I think that size is, when it comes to photographing minerals, crystals, should almost be, especially if it's used in a publication, a must have some kind of size reference, put a ruler in front of it, whatever. Okay, so let's see. heard something interesting and wondered if you thought it was correct. Supposedly, a quick way of separating topaz crystals from beryl crystals is that the topaz always feel colder. True or not? Maybe since the topaz is denser. Well, of course, that's what they say about jade. They always say that jade is cold to the touch. Well, that is, let's see. That can be the case to a point when it comes to jade, and it has to do with the density of jade. Very few other things have a fibrous density, the way nephrite forms, that will give you that. Now, the way I always tell whether something's really hot or whether it's cold relative is, and I learned this from doing bench work before I picked something up and burnt my fingers, was I held it right up underneath my nose, okay, and the heat radiation. You know, like the sensitive of animals, how cold they nose, how sensitive that is? Well, that's for something hot before you touch it. For something cold, the cheek. So that's my, or, you know, how your mom would take your fever, would be the kind of forehead or something that is, not your hand, calluses and all can matter on how that would feel relative. So something soft and that's always exposed directly, same kind of thickness, your cheek or your forehead, that kind of thing, for how cold it is. But now, my tell for topaz, now, of course, if you're able to do a hardness test, that's the easiest thing. Hardness test, topaz versus quartz, there's a big enough difference. Of course, one's on 7, quartz is on the Mohs scale. Topaz is 8 on the Mohs scale. Officially, that's the number 7 and 8. The second thing is, if it's a specimen, the cleavage. Topaz has such, especially as a cutter, we have to know these things, has such perfect cleavage that, you know, it just splits right clean in two with a bright, shiny, polished looking finish to after it's broken. Quartz, not the case. It has, quartz is conchoidal, and that'll be shiny, or subconchoidal. So they break or cleave completely different, and the hardness is completely different. Now, that aside, I think that the density of the two are so close together that I personally think that a piece of topaz and a piece of quartz, both surface areas being the same, I think it would be almost, you know, if you did it, you know, maybe would you get it right 50-50? Which odds would give you that? Or would it be 60-40, maybe a little bit better? I don't know. I haven't done that test, but I certainly have picked, actually I've sold the two together as part of kind of doing that. So it's easier for me to tell the difference between inclusions, which would be the third hardest for all of you guys. But the first would be easiest is hardness, and then the cleavage, and I would not rely much. So on the temperature, again, because especially in something that's close to this equal density like that, the ambient temperature would matter a lot. So it's fallible. It's not something I would count on. Miss Barber goes on to say, I was fascinated by the unique arborescent copper specimen, but I'm torn over whether it's entirely natural or not. Can't find anything that mimics those smooth, drippy blobs. It's darn pretty, though. Possible pseudomorph is my answer to that. So we're going to get into that. I actually have, that's a great question, Miss Barber, on that piece. And I'm going to, hopefully everyone remembers it, the arborescent, which means, you know, kind of tree-like copper specimen I showed the other week. So we're going to talk about that, and I have something to show you and tell you about that specimen, that you'll learn how I got to that origin of where it's from and more info about it. Miss Barber goes on to say, got a kick out of your equivalence of tool equals toy. It brings to mind the sentiment that the only difference between men and boys is the size and cost of their toys. Your statement means you are an honest man. Now, I have no problem admitting that my tractor was nothing but a big expensive toy that legally I could write off as a business expense. Okay, so as to the trivia, Helidor is the name for golden beryl, and the blue mineral which doesn't fluoresce is, and lapis is lazurite. You are right. Schuskite is a rare mineral. And after looking under the microscope, it seems my specimen is the magnesium type as opposed to the chromium type, since the golden slivers, when bundled together, are brown rather than green. So thank you for the super uvarovite specimen. It is indeed special from the exact location you listed. Yay, Mindat. Wow. That specimen should be 2, 3, 4 times that. That's what I said at the time, especially with the Schuskite. The Schuskite made it. Besides the uvarovite crystals actually being larger than the regular druzy ones you find, and they were isolated away from each other. The druzy ones are often on a little bed of green almost to start with, very little crystals of the druze kind of on top of that. Those in that specimen you got were individual, and you could really make out each one beautifully. Yeah, a great specimen. With the Schuskite, it was really, really cool. And you are, I read about that difference, and I don't always get into the different type, whether magnesium or chromium on these different varieties, but that's why you have it, and that's what playing with a specimen is about, is looking further into it and making an assessment that way. So I think you are on the money. Still enjoying the beautiful weather. Hope it continues for as many people as possible. Take care, Miss Barbara from Brooklyn. So yeah, I'm going to show you pictures, and we're going to talk about that copper specimen in a moment. Miss Elisa in Florida. Hello, Professor Shawn, the lovely Raven, GSN crew, and Rock family. Thank you for another wonderful show full of amazing specimens and information. Professor, the knowledge you share truly does add to the value of the items. Thank you. That means a lot to me, because the number of items shown equates to dollars. And so I have to strike a balance about that. And the guys tease me oftentimes about, maybe a little too much knowledge. So your appreciation, not too much knowledge, too much talking, but with the talk comes knowledge. And I'm glad that everyone appreciates that, because that's what this show was set up to be about. Not just about show and sell, but about show and tell, then sell. My answers to this week's trivia are Helidor and lazurite. My favorite item of this week was the Peruvian rhodochrosite. Stunning. Take care, everyone, and have a great week. Miss Elisa, I'm so glad you mentioned that piece. That was a silent sleeper amongst them all, amongst all the other goodies. Need to hear more about that crazy, beautiful Peruvian rhodochrosite. Mr. Matt in Texas. Good day, everyone. I hope the storm does not impact any of you too much. We could use some rain, but it skirted away from Texas. Prof, you broke the piggy bank again. Some of my new items on the way include the zircon parcel, dendritic opal. Uh-oh. I only had one of those. Sound like someone else was... Get it or not get it? Alween. Oh, you got the Alween. Now I know. You got the Alween. Matt, you are the man who loves fluorescence. Of course, there's others too. But you are really setting up for fluorescence. And I guess, in a way, really, that's... If I was to say who would probably really appreciate that specimen the most, besides just a rare mineral collector, out of everyone watching this show, it would be you that I know of. Now, there may be others that don't, participate in the show, but of the ones that comment and participate, you, Mr. Matt, are definitely the one. You are going to flip out when you see, of course, by now, you may have already have the specimen. Shipping, again, is so good about it. And you could actually take that. There is gem facet grade quality Alween in there. And you may not have been here a few years back when I actually sold, they were little 2 and 3 point faceted Alweens, and they were a lot of money for them that small. It's at how rare material it is for facet grade. And easily those crystals would cut the size that I've sold in this show, those little stones. So that alone, but those will go from that, incredible blue color to the brightest orange. It is shocking. And then there's the white fluorescence you're going to see. So you have to separate white and recognize it. So it's a white, kind of whitish blue. So you'll be able to pick it out. Then that beautiful orange fluorescent, that's what Asif saw, and Latif. So I got the team here again. They saw with the orange fluorescence on the back. That was crazy and a little difficult to kind of figure those out. So calcite or the phlogopite, because phlogopite mica will fluoresce, and they would have been tilted at an angle when the saw was this way because of the way it looked like they were if they were phlogopite. So, yeah, you're going to have a lot of fun with that. A lot of fun. Oh, wait, there was another part that was fluorescent too about it that was a pinkish color. But that could also have to do with calcite. So, yeah, I think there's 4 different fluorescent minerals in that piece. Yeah. There may even be some mariolite. So write that down on that. I'm going to have some faceted mariolite I'm going to bring in again and offer, which it's clear white, and it just, boom, beautiful orange, crazy stuff. And you got the orpiment. Yeah, it made Latif run out the door when I talked, said it was an arsenic ore, which it is. It's primary arsenic sulfide. And that's all it is. It's arsenic and it's sulfur. So, yeah. Luckily, when it combines the molecule, it cuts down on the toxicity of it. But after you mess with it, should you wash your hands? Yeah, definitely. Wash your hands. After any mineral specimen. Probably the safest thing if you want to play with the quartz crystal. All right, silicon dioxide, very inert. Okay, but good habit of washing your hands. Got the silver peridot cross and others. Wow, well done there, Matt. You're going to have a lot of fun. Zircon parcel. Did I write the CPM, the count per minute? I think I did. I think I talked to you about that because you're getting, hopefully, any day now, that Geiger counter. So I can't wait. You got the extra bells and whistles. Trivia, what is another original name for golden beryl? Heliodor. Aween fluoresces orange. If it does not fluoresce, what is the name of the mineral that is often associated with it? That would be lazurite. Be well, Matt. Miss Penny in Quebec. Hello, Shawn, the lovely Raven, amazing GSN crew, and fellow rockhounds. I hope this finds everyone well. Miss Penny getting both answers right on the trivia. Shawn, thank you for another great show. The trivia gifts over the last couple of weeks have certainly caused some trivia envy. Congratulations, Miss Cindy and Mr. Anthony. Faves of the week were the rhodochrosite. There we go. All right, that's what I wanted to hear. Another fave on the rhodochrosite. That's true. Hey, good job. You guys did notice that. Dioptase. That dioptase. Someone needs to get that. That would be twice that easily and be a good deal. And the barite specimens. I'd like to hear that barite recognized. How funny that when Asif said your finger injury matched the ammonite, I was thinking the exact same thing. They do say that great minds think alike. Wow. It makes me feel good, Penny, that it wasn't just Asif that saw that. I didn't notice it at the time, but as soon as Asif pointed it out, it's like, wow, that really is. And then to think that one other of you had that same thought, that might be a little scary there, Miss Penny. I don't know if you should be mixing in with that same, water seeking its own level there on that one. But brave of you to admit that thought. Yeah. But it sure did look just like that ammonite. As I'm writing this message, I am rewatching last week's show. It seems that I can't get enough of it because it's the third time. And the third time is when you remember everything. Yep. That's what they say, right? Third time's a charm. Third time does no harm. What else can I come up with? That's it for this week. Short and sweet. Wish everyone a wonderful week and hope to see you next week. Hope that I get to see everybody next week. And so that's it. So, okay. We have a winner. So when we have multiple right answers, people getting the answers right, we assign a number to it, draw a hat, draw the number randomly by asking one of the guys to name a number. And this week, the winner is, speaking of, Miss Penny in Quebec. Let's show you what you won there, Miss Penny. And this week, you are really lucky, I think, because something I don't too often have is, and oh yeah, I just remembered someone that has just been to New Brunswick and Northeast Canada. I don't know where you were in relationship to Labrador, but here is Labradorite, named after where it was first discovered, really. And I actually have had original natural Labradorian Labradorite in those boxes of mixed minerals, the 17 different minerals. I remember one being in there and wanting to take it out and and keep it for myself, but I didn't. I left the original one in there. So look at this one. This has some of that silver sheen and also the other wonderful colors. Now you can see that the base color of the Labradorite is more of a grayish material versus spectralite, the finished material that is so valuable and so beautiful. That is on, it's like black opal versus on a white base opal. It makes a big difference. So that's what you get in the spectralite, is a much darker base color. I see a little purple in there, or maybe some iris color, but unique because it does have this form of reflective colors, which is completely different than the regular labradorescence. So it's probably why I hung on to it this long. Then check this out. Slaughter Mountain, yep, giving away fire agate. How about that? If I see any purpleness, I'm taking it back. But look at that, your classic limonite caused base color, and then that botryoidal formation to the agate that is a really the finest coming from the Slaughter Mountain of Arizona, and that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see, those bubbly looking areas. Purple being the most valuable color for fire agate. So here have two wonderful cabs you can add to your collection for free. Okay, let me put those away and I'll be back with the start of the show. Okay, let's get to the copper part. So when you saw that arborescent piece that I offered for sale, and when I had gotten that, I've had it at least 20 years. It was just a coarsely written note on the bag that said Namibia. And so when whether specimens, no matter whether they have a label or not, I always verify, because that, wherever it came from before me, that label may be incorrect. It may have been incorrect to previous owners. You just don't know the whole provenance. So I always make sure that I check and back up whatever information is given to me to see if it's correct. So in doing so, and looking up Namibian native copper, the way that piece went, if you remember, it all stemmed from a single base, a single, let's say, trunk. And then off that trunk, and why they call it arborescent, tree-like, is because you had the branches coming off from that trunk. So you look for a specimen from an origin and see if it, if any specimens have that same type of formation to start with. Then you look for any similar crystal forms that are related to it. Now, if you remember that copper specimen, they were very smooth, pear-shaped droplets, narrower at the bottom and larger at the top. And they had little rounded dimples, rounded pimples, I guess I should say, on top of them. All right, well, there's two things I can say about that. Being a wax carver and someone also that is familiar and done CAD/CAM, computer automated design and machining for wax making and 3D image making. Well, this piece predates 3D machines and goes back probably predating the CAD/CAM machines. Neither one of them, anyway, can create that type of pear-shaped formation with the dimple on it. So you think about a pseudomorph, where a mineral replaces another mineral. That could be a big process as to how many choices you have for that being the case. The other case is if you're going to make something that is a fraud. All right, so here, you're frauding a piece for copper. How much can you possibly gain in value by going through the effort to duplicate maybe a natural product and sell it as copper and make any money? Because, you know, your initial starting price would be in the dollars, you know, from whoever would be doing that kind of work. It'd have to be mass produced. So in doing wax work, there's no wax machine or hand carving that could duplicate the smoothness of that particular specimen, let alone creating the dimples on the surface, the little raised, looks like little, basically rounded pimples that were on it. Then there was, of course, a deep patina, and then little tiny bit of green from natural oxidation and most likely malachite. All right, so this is one of the mines in Namibia. It's not the one that I had, that I believe that one to be from, which is the Onganja mine, but you can see that Namibian copper, this is actually copper, if you cleaned it all up, it could be shiny, comes stemming from a single base. So you look to see if any specimens have even any kind of rounded forms. And you can see that, yes, this copper specimen stems from a single trunk and branches out into other forms. This one is from the Onganja mine, the exact mine where that copper specimen was from. You can see here, there's one trunk with branches coming out. It doesn't matter which way it's oriented. Earth is three-dimensional, as so do crystals, as the way they grow in the ground. You can see that what would be supposed crystals are actually rounded, nondescript crystals, which already starts to begin to tell you that that possible occurrence can look somewhat similar. Do we find anything even closer? Whoops. Right here. Look at this. This is from the Onganja mine as well, and this is very similar to the specimen. Coming off from one trunk, you have multiple branches, and then you have the rounded form, not so many quite dimples, but this one is certainly in the realm of the way it looks. Again, the Onganja mine, one initial trunk, and the branching off with rounded crystals described as cauliflower-like. Again, possibility. Now, this one, when I saw this one, I thought, well, there it is right there. This is, again, from the Onganja mine. This is a unique specimen because there was a turn the other way, but I changed it so that it was up and down to show you. Here we have the single trunk, the multiple branches, but there's something else really important. And that is, look at how rounded these supposed crystals are. Then look at these little tiny, this is what's really important, these little additional dimples, these bumps, so to speak, on each one of these. Look at that. There's no definitive crystal formation to any of this. All that has to go through is being in the desert sand for a period of time, and you know geology has a long blink of an eye. Desert sand, a chemical leaching, there are many ways for this to wind up as smooth, or it could have even been found like this and someone run it through their own home tumbler 50 years ago because the patina on it was huge. But that is not the likely scenario. The likely scenario is Mother Nature doing what Mother Nature does, and that is makes our jaw drop and say, wow, how did nature do that? This one, you can easily see that it would only take a bit of with a sandblaster, in man's world, it could take less than an hour to strip this down to what that type of specimen you saw was, or maybe 1,000 years in a windblown Namibian desert. So that's how I feel with certainty that not only, and this also even has some of the green patina, if the color was right, that this is a specimen, that copper specimen was from the Onganjo mine. But that's how, and the way that I do the research and confirm these different specimens when all the information isn't given to me. Now, to back that up, I actually went through and did pseudomorph of every copper specimen there was. There was not a pseudomorph I saw that came close or anywhere close to being a substitute for what that specimen was. So there was no other mineral that I saw that copper pseudomorph from to look like that. And so again, in seeing this specimen, I knew that that was really all I needed to see, and knowing that Mother Nature did the rest to make it look exactly the way it does. Okay, so let me put this away and we'll start the show. Okay, first person comes to mind, speaking of, is Matt, but this is open and available to anyone. And you know, I don't know why I've never talked about this before, but the fluorescence of kyanite, which is universal. Some items fluoresce depending on where they're from, you know, location. Not kyanite. It has a red fluorescence. So this, I just, out of curiosity, said, well, okay, let me just see how red it is. And I am telling you what, it goes as red as a stop sign. Just like I was amazed by our ween going orange. So this incredible blue. So that's what I have to say about this first, is the fluorescence that kind of threw me off. I guess I actually had not looked at the fluorescence of kyanite in a long, long time. Now remember, kyanite is a polymorph. So it has two buddies with the same chemical symbol, but completely different makeup and attributes by way of its personality, so to speak. Because sillimanite is one of its polymorphs, and andalusite, and both of them respond differently than kyanite. Anyway, this piece I have, it is from Virginia. And let me show you something that is pretty cool about it. Madisonville, okay, so this is from the Baker Mountain Mine, and you know, that's why it doesn't look like Brazilian kyanite. That's why it doesn't look like, you know, more common kyanites that you see. There's another really cool factor to it, and there's rutile. There is red rutile on this, and I'm going to try to show it to you. These little tiny specks, so Latif is going to take us as far as he can go. Besides, okay, look at that blue. Look at the gemminess to this rutile as well. That is also what is unique, is the quality of this kyanite. Far exceeds a lot of the Brazilian kyanite. Look at that gem quality to it. The Brazilian kyanites I've offered and shown to you before that might have big, beautiful crystals, but the quality of them, the blue is a light blue and they're completely opaque. Not the case with this piece. And like I said, under UV light, ultraviolet light, it fluoresces amazing. Everything you see that's blue is red. Look at the corners when you see light glint off of here. Let me put this in here. Okay, I have this open. Now, I am going to, there we go. I think Latif knows right where he's going. Saw the red with his eye. Let me show it to you. Okay, look at the white crystal of quartz and all those little, what look like dark specks going down it. A lot of people don't realize, but what appears like, often looks like dark rutile is a very dark red color. And if you put light to it, then you can often see that red. So I'm also showing you, look at the quality of the blue. That is, for kyanite, really what they consider very gemmy, unless it's the Nepalese stuff. Let's look at the others. Oh, here's the big crystal. That's the one I was wanting to show you, because it even has the pointed, oh, and there's the red. There's the red. You saw that red right there in all those little specks. There's your red rutile, and there's the bigger crystal, and that is red as well. If I had a third hand, I could move the light over to you, but you can have the fun of doing it. You see how it has that arrow shape termination? That is one of the ways that you can confirm that it's rutile. So that's actually one of the biggest crystals, and it is a beautiful red when you put light to it. Here's the other side. Look at all the kyanite. That is in every different direction. Let's see what's down here. You know, and this is where, when you get something like this at home, you can have all the fun in the world. Get a bright light and get some magnification and just sit and just look at every little crevice. That's how you find some of those little micro crystals that are, you know, could lead to a stunning different mineral you may not have. But boy, if that's not a busy specimen. And here, let me just show you in my hand. So, you know, they actually call those small cabinet specimens. So, yep. The fluorescence, though, is what really floored me. Get it? Floored me. Yeah, that's one of Asa's kind of jokes there. All right. Price on this. You know, to me, the value is far more than I'm going to ask, and or that someone may consider it's worth. The value to me is because, for one, where it's from, it's not like Brazilian. The fluorescence isn't a weak red. It can be, you know, some kind of red, but this is a really strong, wonderful, wonderful saturated red. Then it has the very well-defined rutile in the color red. Defined, I say that because I looked at it underneath 35 power, but still, it's there, and the gem quality of the kyanite. So, yeah. Only $38 on that. How's that? $38. Crazy price. But next, this is an item I haven't offered like I am. Item 120, 28, 24. And it's a collection of geodes. I have not done this. So let's start off with this. It's a particular collection. A close and personal one. Oh, I gave you the wrong item number, I reckon. Oh, I probably, most likely, obviously did. I did. That was my fault. So now I gave away 120, 29, 24. 120, 29, 24. Here we go. Let's look at that. There we go. Shawn's geodes. Yes, these actually, out of all those Oko, I told you my Oko geode story before. If you haven't, you'll have to wait till another time when I tell it again. It's a great story. But I did go through thousands. I had at one time thousands, and a big Oko Brazilian dealer bought them from me. There's a whole story to that. I traded them for a debt that was owed to me. I thought I had done poorly on the trade, but when I found out what I had, which was top quality Oko geodes, then I was able to come out and do all right. Look at that. What's really rare for Oko geodes is when they have amethyst in them. That light purple color. Yeah. Beautiful agate and quartz around it. And they're some of the world's smallest, I guess, gem quality geodes. You get one in that collection. Then look at this one, another one, and it stands up on its own. Someone had put some glue or something on the bottom, but you can take that off. I think it's good that they did it, actually, because I think that is a miniature version of what looks like one of those Brazilian cathedral geodes, except they don't have the plume agate around those big geodes. You can see this one's just polished again. You know, I don't ever know what kind of official agate they ever called it when you have it around these Okos, but to me, it always looked like plume agate was the closest thing. And there is such a thing as plume agate. Shawn didn't just make that one up. So to me, it looks like plume agate, and that's what I've always called it. You can see that wonderful light color. When you see some of the darker areas underneath the quartz, that is usually going to be goethite in these. So there's number 2. So we're going to put that because there's something going right in the middle. Look at this one. Let's go to Mexico. Coconut geode, they call these, and boom, look at the size of that. And there your goethite is underneath the quartz. There's probably 2 layers, a layer of agate group, then goethite, and then you have this light amethyst layer that grew on top. This one isn't polished, but you could always do one of Shawn's cheesy spray polishes or fingernail polish or something like that. But it doesn't need it because I think in this case, it really shows off just the crystals. They call them coconut geodes because of they are so perfectly round. Almost all the geodes, they're really so concentric. It's pretty neat. It's not like your Brazilian geodes that are usually elongated. These and never round. These are, and the agate goes all the way out to the surface. Others, I have actually put in acid and cooked away the outside shell and left just the quartz on the inside part. That is really neat to do, but you have to have just the right piece to attempt and do that. So, okay, collection of those 3 geodes, price on all 3 of them from, let me get this up, is, because I can't put the 3, a collection like this back together again. So that's what makes it kind of special. It's one of a kind of thing. And that's why I should ask a lot more than the little bit that I am. So let's just go ahead and make it a deal for someone at all 3 of them for $38. $38. And it's the amethyst ochos to try to find those. That's the thing, And then also coconut geodes. I have bought hundreds of these. Oh, reminds me, when I gave up, well, that's another story. But let me tell you, one time I gave away all of my mineral specimens when I discovered girls, and anyway, ended up working in a fish market instead of cutting stones, making $500 a week during the summer because I sold off my stone cutting equipment and gave away my collection of geodes. I gave away to the Sarasota Boys Club, the Boy Scouts, I guess I should say. The Boy Scouts, they had actually a lapidary area to the Boy Scout Club, which was quite impressive. So as part of that, I didn't give away my equipment, but I gave away my geodes. And the thing why I say that was with Lamentations is because I gave away at least 100 to 125 geodes. By the time I was 16, I had that many. I gave them a huge collection. I wish I had every one of them back. But, you never know where goodwill like that goes. And I always, of course, have been an encourager of people to take up the hobby of being a nerd. And now I collected them back. And now I am sharing again with all of you. This time, I'm getting my money back. All right. No, not at these prices. Item 120, 2424. This is what I will end up turning into if I do wrong by people. And that is this, a gargoyle. Look at that. Have you seen one of those before? Carved? I hadn't either. And that's why it was neat. I've had that for a long time. And Unakite. Now, Unakite being named after the Utica Mountains, where it was first discovered. The Utica Mountains are a mountain range between Tennessee and North Carolina. So, not far away. And a lot of people don't think, oh, that's Brazilian. That's it. No, there's actually this type of material. Now, we've talked about this before because remember, it's green epidote and pink feldspar. And in this case, you can even see quartz, silica, adding to it. So, the if you collect animal carvings out of mineral specimens, it could be a long time before you ever see a gargoyle. And that's pretty neat to have that. But now I am sharing that gargoyle. And the unakite, I have actually found not near that quality, but I have found those two minerals together, which is pretty cool. So they are, for whatever reason, geologically linked and can be found that way. So here we go. How about this? Only $21 for them. Only one I have seen, and there's your chance to get a really neat animal carving, if you call a gargoyle an animal. You know, I just watched a gargoyle movie last night. It was from 1972. It was pretty cool. I like those. You know, the older I get, the more I find I'm watching movies from the time period of when I was young and even around when I was born, 1961, because I like to see the old cars. I like to see what time is like, what it was like then, you know. The cars, it's like all those old cars. It's like, oh, wow, I wish, now, where'd they all go? Can't all be all in junkyard. Anyway, I know. I mean, Lateef likes the cool muscle cars, and I do too. I just wished I would have had one when I could have thought I couldn't afford it back then. Little did I know, I should have just bought one and hung on to it, and then be worth $250,000. Okay, let me show you. I have item 120, 1524. What I'm getting ready to show you is a smorgasbord of minerals. And I think there's so much more to this than what I have figured out. Check this out. Check this piece out. Oh, did I give you a wrong item number? I couldn't have. I pulled it right out of there. Let's see. Item 120, 1424. Yeah. Okay. Now, look at this specimen. See, more stuff's coming up as I turn it. More pink. Yep, it is cobaltoin or cobaltian. It's pronounced a couple different ways. Cobaltoin calcite. And that is calcite where cobalt is an actual part of its formula. So it's CaCO3. So instead of CaCO3 for calcium carbonate, it's calcium cobalt carbonate. Now, it's really cool because you have the cobaltoin calcite, and this is from the Mashamba West mine. All the information, I fit as much as I could in the description, but from the DR Congo is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And the Mashamba West mine, really well known for malachite and all kinds of minerals. You can just take one look at this and see between the gossan and the other minerals that there's a lot going on. Look at where you have the calcite. Here it is right raw and at the surface. You can see that really neat spray kind of effect like you often see with malachite. This is when druzy quartz covers over the top of it. Then you're going to see all kinds of quartz crystals amongst this material. And then the heterogenite. That is going to be your darker material. And let's see, right in here, some of the dark material. Now, heterogenite is something you may not hear a lot about, but it is found at a lot of the different mines that produce these type of ores. It is a cobalt oxyhydroxide, or more so a hydrocobaltoin oxide. So basically made up of cobalt and oxygen with some hydrogen thrown in. It sounds rarer than it actually is. Then you can look, if you're really clever, there's little quartz all around here, but if you're really good, you can find a couple little spots of malachite on here. But the more fun is to find, see these pockets, these are pockets, is to look back into them. And let me show you one. Hold on. You probably have some limonite here. There. Where's the one I'm looking for? When you look back into these pockets, like back in there, you'll have to get the light the right way. But that is where you can find some amazing, pristine crystals. And that's where you can find some of those rare other minerals that don't get damaged, that maybe these little acicular, meaning these little needle-like, that in any other situation, even just washing them could damage them. But not when they're tucked away back in those pockets like that. So it's always, always important that you check all of those out. So you can look at this piece. You can see how busy it is. And I love pieces like this because it's a challenge then to figure out what everything is. Now, a lot of this material can, if you want to, can be scraped off, and you can prep the specimen, but you want to make sure that you're not going to be scrubbing off anything that might damage it. But really, really is beautiful. There's other minerals around on this, but we won't, well, look at that. It looks almost like, see, there's the mouth. See, starting to see animals in this stuff again. Okay, none of that. Price-wise on this is a fun piece for not a lot of money, and that's why some of those are some of the best buys you can find. $18. Yep, $18 on that. And I told you this show was going to have some prices all over the place, and something for everybody. Okay, now, speaking about something for everybody, I am going to take this to the other end of the extreme. Now, to make my case with this next item, I am going to pull up two pictures. So first, let's start, and then I'll have to clean up my little mess I have here. So let's start with item number 120, 28, 24. 120, 28, 24. And if you saw the word chrysoberyl earlier, you would be right. You did. This is what I'm getting ready to show you. It's going to be one of the nicest chrysoberyls you've ever seen. And I'm not talking about the Alexandrite variety of it, but just the gem facet grade variety of chrysoberyl. This has been one of my treasures for a long time. Look at this jewel. Look at this stone. This stone is still a native cut. This is the way it was cut, but it was cut right the first time. Now, often when you see the stair step cutting on the pavilion, that usually is a sign that they are of a native cut stone, especially when you look at the very culet, and it's not completely perfect. In other words, every facet, you can't really tell it from above, but when you have the stone in your hand, it's not perfect. So it's not what we call a precision cut, but there is absolutely no window in this stone. It is a stunning look. Let me show it to you against the hand so you can get an idea of the size. Now, chrysoberyl, remember, is a hardness of 8.5. It's the third hardest gemstone. So you have, well, diamond and then ruby, your corundum, which is 9, and then it's chrysoberyl. And this yellow with just it's a honey yellow with it ever so slight of a secondary tone of green. Well, this particular color happens to be one of the most valuable and sought after colors. Now, let me show it to you against this white background here, just so you can see it against something you're used to seeing it at. And then let me put it down right here for a moment. Actually, I should put it on the turntable. I believe I shall. Something I don't get to use too often, but on this gem, certainly worthy of letting that spin a bit and raising the curtain after you see it for a moment against the black, which doesn't do it anything. But boom, we raise the curtain. And there we have an amazing gem. Now, let me give you an idea. Hold on, let me clean this dust off. Let me give you an idea of what we're looking at for value. This is, when I say loop clean, I basically with a loop, I didn't see anything in it. So if you were going to like do a GIA grading on it relative to diamond, it would be in like the VS, let's say. Okay, I never called anything higher than VS under 10 power loop, because VBS, you have to run it up to 30 power, then back it down to 10 and stuff. Well, they don't do all that with gemstones. Chrysoberyl is a beryllium aluminum oxide, okay? So only 3 elements in it. Beryl, since it sounds so familiar, chryso, of course, meaning golden. So golden you have, or, you know, again, that's one of those Greek words. But beryl is a beryllium aluminum silicate, meaning if it's a silicate, so it has oxygen. So there's only silicon is the difference. Now, here's the other difference. In chrysoberyl, aluminum is greater than beryllium. In beryl, it is the beryl that has a heavier molecular weight than the aluminum. In other words, the percent of beryl is greater than the percent of aluminum in beryl. But in chrysoberyl, aluminum is greater than beryl. Now, one other type of chrysoberyl is alexandrite. Alexandrite is chrysoberyl with an impurity of chromium, which gives you the color change. Now, I checked this stone using my neodymium magnet, and I had to float it to see if there was a magnetic pull, and yes, there was, and that it had the exact very weak response that it's supposed to. It is not fluorescent because impurities of iron can invade the structure. And as if you remember before, iron is a fluorescent quencher. It kills the deal if you were to be fluorescent. So with it being ever so slightly magnetic, it would either be a chromium presence, which is slightly magnetic, or iron. Well, since it's not a color change, wouldn't that be nice? I would have to say, and because it's yellow, most likely it is the iron that is causing that very ever so slight magnetic draw, which you can only do if you float it on water, as I've described that process before. So no fluorescence. It checked all the boxes. It checked the box for brilliance. Now let me show you what I found here. All right, here it is. Here it is, a stone. It's very similar, same kind of color on Etsy. 4.67 carat. So it's got mine by a carat 30. $5,765. You know, what is that? 1,200 a carat? Let's just say 1,200 carat. It's probably more than that. This gem is, you know, it's clean. You can see that as this one is. Okay, now, let me show you what the same type of stone looks like as a crystal. Here it is. Look at that. You're looking at the same color as the one I'm featured and the one that I just showed you. This is from Rakwana, the Ratnapur district, which is really well known, of course, in Sri Lanka for minerals and specimens. So there is, oh, and by the way, look at the size. So 3.5, so that by 1.5, so that's 35 millimeters. So that's actually a big size crystal. It's over an inch tall, which would cut, it would take that, something like that, especially width-wise at 13 millimeters, to cut a gem like this. This is very large for a chrysoberyl. And it has a little bit, as it's supposed to, plechoic. In other words, it is a little bit lighter color yellow looking at it through the end than looking at it from the side. So it changes a little bit. Other than that, as this stone spins, look at the brilliance. Look at this stone. it would fit a 10 by 8. That's the other good thing. 9.7 by 8.12, no problem fitting a standard 10 by 8 setting if you wanted to use it as in a piece of jewelry because it's a hardness of 8.5. A lot of the stuff I show you, these exotic rare stones, they're soft. You know, more for fun looking at than for making into jewelry. But not the case when you're talking about this is harder than topaz. Look at that color. Look at that color. Look at that brilliance. Look at the clarity. And anything that you see, like that little spot, would be a bit of dust on it because I wiped it down and still couldn't get rid of the dust. Jeez, that's going to bug me. Hold on. Excuse me. There we go. See, the spot was gone. I have kept that for myself for a long time. And I had always wanted to do something with it personally, but it's not going to be at a point where I'm going to be able to. So I am going to share this stone for whoever really wants a collector's gem. If you did nothing else at what I'm going to offer this for, if you put it up and then, you know, to me, it's one of those things, you know, we don't use the word investment around here, but when something's worth more than what you paid for it, you can't go wrong. And this is one of those stones, I call it making money on the buy. So when you purchase something that you buy and you buy it for less than the market value, then you've made X number of dollars on the buy. In other words, if you had to, you know, the difference between what you pay for it and what you would normally have to pay for it, that's an initial profit right there. Then hang on to things and they become usually worth more in the gem industry, especially something as rare and this large size. You always are supposed to buy the bigger and the better quality, you know, the best of quality in gemstones. And unless it's a stone, let's say you get to a certain size, let's say take tanzanite. If you get to a 50 karat tanzanite, it's not usable for jewelry, it's, or, you know, usable for really anything. The price can start going down because you have a limited market. Not in something like this. This is usable for jewelry. It's incredibly beautifully cut. It has a high refractive index, which is another good thing about chrysoberyl. Has a much higher refractive index than most any of your other common gems, including, you know, your aqua and emerald, including topaz, all of those, spinel. This has that's why it's such a brilliant stone. Anyway, there is a lot of room to go price-wise. If I went by the 1,200 carat, and let's say it's a little small, let's make it 1,000 carat, this stone would be $3,350. $3,350, and that would be a wonderful value compared to trying to find something similar. I already did it. I was shell-shocked by how much this stone is going for now in the market, but it has to be in that narrow range of color. Not any bit lighter. You know, this is the vivid. This in the color diamond world, this is vivid. This is, you know, the color that you want. If it was a cat's eye chrysoberyl, you want the milk and honey color. You don't want honey yellow or honey yellow green. You want honey, that darker, more brownish color with the milk, which is the white line down the middle. So remember, there's that other really nice gem attached to the chrysoberyl family. The word is cat's eye. Remember, I went over this a few weeks ago. I said any other cat's eye than chrysoberyl, you have to say the mineral. So cat's eye tourmaline, cat's eye opal, cat's eye apatite. You have to say the last. But if you just say, I bought a cat's eye today, the only stone it could be by proper terms is chrysoberyl. So chrysoberyl is the only stone that you can say, I have a cat's eye, and anybody else in the gem business will know to correctly assume that you are referring to a cat's eye chrysoberyl. Any others? You have to say the mineral that it is, the gemstone at the end. This gem, instead of the 3,350, is going to be at a price that doesn't make any sense, but that's pretty much how I roll here. Well, I don't even know how much this comes out to per carat. I'll leave it to whoever's interested in it and for you to figure out. Actually, let me just put two numbers together here. Yeah, okay. And discount. All right, so let's just do this. Let's make it $488. $488. I do not believe that is even 150 a carat. So if we blah 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 in my mind, yeah. So it's not even close to that. That is a giveaway. And by the way, I just saw as that went around on the table, there is nothing on this by way of any kind of nicks or scratches or anything. I'm quite surprised. But it's the hardness that has maintained it. Plus, I have had it put up for a long time. That is one of the rarest gems you're going to really see. And it's one of those gems that people in the gem business know all about it, but the general public, not so much. But it doesn't, as you can see, even at the discount sites, the Etsy place and whatever, you can see that doesn't affect what they want to ask for it. Whether it's a known stone or not, they're going by the market value, and in the $4,000 and $5,000 range is not out of the question. $1,000 or $1,200 a carat, not out of the question. All right, let me pause so I can put that up correctly. I'll be right back. I have another one of those rare items, and I'm going to make it affordable. This is, of course, I have still not found the museum quality gem silica specimens I have talked about previously. But I have gotten close by finding some others. This is one of them. And this is stunning. It is from, of course, the very well-known Inspiration Mine. The Inspiration Mine, or Miami/Inspiration Mine, the Ray Mine, and the 79 Mine, three of the greatest mines in Arizona of all time. So last week, I showed you specimens of this druzy quartz over those hematite-stained quartz crystals. And the druzy quartz, was close to this same color, but it was a little bit more green. Let me show you all about this piece. Look at this. This is so neat. Look at the malachite on this around the edge. Now, let's go in and look closer at this, because it is what's going to explain what's going on. There we go. Here is your band of malachite. Now, if you're looking close, you can see that there is a little bit of a blue banding going through that. That's going to come into play in a moment. Now, when you look at this, you can see the layer of quartz is on top of a botryoidal layer of something that's on top of the malachite. Now, you're looking at it back up underneath the edge, where nature, such as oxygen and water and chemicals, can happen, which when that occurs, you get reactions. Things change, especially when it comes to copper minerals, infamous for low temperature mineralization or secondary mineralization or pseudomorphing, as we've talked about before. Let me show you what's really underneath that layer of quartz. If we could peel it back, right there, you could see why this piece becomes what it really is, and that is quartz on top of chrysocolla, which is so perfectly defined. You can see the dark blue in this case, which is on top of malachite. Looking into the corner, you can see the blue very well there. Now, it's a darker blue than you normally may think, and that is partially due to its weathering, the oxidation here at the other end. Isn't this perfect? Look at this. This is odd because it's a obviously malachite, botryoidal piece of malachite that the top of it came off, but it is right next to a botryoidal bubble of chrysocolla, a chrysocolla layer. And I think the two side by side like that tells again its own story, because you can see the layering right here. Malachite was formed. On top of the malachite was chrysocolla, and on top of that, the druzy quartz. Now, if I show this to you, let me put it away from here. You can see, look at the lighter blue. So I think away from this edge, I don't think the chrysocolla is as dark as it appears along the edge. I think that oxidation is occurring and some kind of chemical reaction creating that as a darker color than what is actually underneath it. Further back here is probably a lighter blue. You can see there's no gap in between the quartz and the chrysocolla layer, which is, you can actually see. Maybe it is the same color, maybe not. But when you look at these thinner areas where the quartz is, it does look like the lighter blue. Either way, it's definitive that there's a layer of chrysocolla. That's what you want to see. That is where, and what tells you that your quartz isn't just being, is actually picked up copper ions from the chrysocolla and isn't just a background making it look blue, that the quartz is actually that color itself. Just like gem silica is a true gem colored by chrysocolla ions. Look at this. So the back of this has been polished down a little bit. Here is additional chrysocolla you can see back here in these whiter areas. Chrysocolla can even be a very light, almost white color, depending. But you have some wonderful botryoidal forms here. You also have additional quartz over here and tenorite. Tenorite is just simple copper oxide. That's why you see the Cu and O. Copper and oxygen, one atom of each make up one molecule of tenorite. And that is, and with magnification, you'll be able to see in here little botryoids, little botryoidal formations in these darker areas. And we'll leave that for you to explore. There is lots to look at on this. This is one of the last great specimens that you can need to have. It's one of those must-haves, and why I've had several different ones, because I must have had to have them myself. They're beautiful. They're simply beautiful. Look at that. So much that is going on with that. All right, price on this, only $98. Only $98. And for any of you that know about these specimens coming out of those areas, know that they are highly prized, highly desirable. This one in itself, I know, is decades old. It is decades. It is old-timey material. Now remember, you know, my collecting started 52 years ago, and many things I started getting early on were from estates that were 20 and 30 years old or longer then. So you're talking about 1972, 73. I started collecting items that might have been mine 10 or 20 years prior to that. So back during the golden heyday, remember, it was only in the late 60s that Tsavorite in 1967 was discovered. That Tanzanite, again, about the same time, was discovered 2 new gemstones in the late 60s. I mean, as a rock hound, I got into this in 1972. I'm an old timer. So when it comes to a lot of these mineral specimens, so you add on the age that some of these estates, when I started getting them, I had my first jewelry store by the time I was 23. So, by the early 80s, I started getting estates of material. And you take it back 20 and 30 years on average prior to that. So there's specimens you may see that were mined in the 50s, 40s, that kind of thing. And that's what you want. A lot of the great stuff was already found in different mines. And sometimes older is better. Let me show you a jewel. Item number 120, 21, 24. 120, 21, 24. And this is a piece that, of course, I had to have. And being that it's my birthstone, the Made in the USA stuff, like the one I just took away, was part of my Made in the USA collection, of course, coming from Arizona. This is part of my garnet collection. That was the other set of items I collected, was all my birthstone, which garnet, what a great family. 6 members. Every one of them is a fantastic member to collect. So it kept me busy for 5 decades. This is an Afghani andradite garnet. Now, andradite garnet, is the family of garnet that the mantoid belongs to. The horsetail inclusion demantoid, that you know of. Yep, that is an andradite garnet. Now, andradite garnet, remember, is part of the group of garnets called the eugrandites. So there's the pyrospite group, which is pyro, almandine, and spessartine. Very easy to remember. They actually use the abbreviations from each of those garnets. There's a difference there's a reason why they separated them out. The other group is called the eugrandites. Eugrandite standing for euvervite, grossular, and andradite. Pyrospite stands for pyrope, almandine, and spessartine. The difference being the eugrandite garnet family, all of them end in the chemical formula SiO4. 3 molecules of each. That's what separates them and makes them a garnet, is having that identical ending. Now, what makes them the different types of garnet is what comes before that. In the case of euvervite, it's chromium and calcium. In the case of grossular, it's calcium and aluminum. In the case of andradite, it is calcium and iron. What is the same besides the SiO4? Calcium. So the eugrandite group, what separates those from the other 3 garnet members is each one of these has calcium as part of its formula. The pyrospite group, which is the pyrope, almandine, spessartine, each one of those belongs to that group because each contain aluminum. In the case of pyrope, it's magnesium and aluminum. In almandine, it's iron and aluminum. And in spessartine, it's manganese and aluminum. Now, I have showed you before how to tell an andradite garnet easily separate from what it's usually confused with, which is grossular. An andradite garnet has iron in its makeup. Needless to say, it is not fluorescent because iron quenches fluorescence. But andradite, having the iron, is magnetic, whereas grossular is not. And so a magnet, especially a rare earth magnet, a neodymium magnet, you can easily feel the pull on this specimen, as I have done and, of course, experimented all kinds of crazy with it. And it's not like it's going to pull a specimen, but you can actually feel the magnetic pull to the crystal by when you're holding it. Now, the interesting thing here, the two well-known androdites, the world's most famous ones to me, besides the straight androdite. Now, I'm not talking about the mantoid. Androdite in itself are the iridescent androdites of the coast mine of Japan. And remember, they were found unbeknowingly to the magnetite mine that had been next door to this deposit, well, for a long, long time. And this deposit went undiscovered until 2004, when outside of the magnetite mine, they found this small ledge of incredible androdites. And that's another thing. So that incredible deposit of ultra valuable androdite, iridescent androdite garnets wasn't discovered until 2004. That could have been me somewhere, you know, out wandering the woods, finding something wonderful. Why can't it be me? By 2005, they were throwing people in jail. The Tenkawa village elders didn't like all of us rockhounds raiding their island in Japan and started arresting people for trespassing. So they cracked down, and there is no more. Only what I have. I control the world's supply. No, but I have a good number of them. And have shared them all generously with all of you at a fantastic deal, I think. The other thing why I say that, because this specimen, one of the other minerals that can be found with it is magnetite crystals. And they're quite unusual and beautiful, and they look like a bipyramidal kind of crystal. Now, I haven't discovered any of those, but look, yes, what you're seeing back here, does that look funny, a different color? It is diopside. Look at that. Look at the green diopside on this. And so, easily tell by the different crystal form, but then, of course, the color. So you're saying, well, how that could be green demantoid? Well, that's where knowledge of a crystal system comes into play. Have you ever seen a garnet crystal be elongated? Boom, look at that. There you go. With that angle, that would make any of you say, oh, that's not a garnet. And you would be correct. So you can see the classic diopside termination and form there. And then there is another one right here. Look at that. So from above, you can see the shape of that in classic diopside form. So that's really cool. Then these are not as dark as you think. They have a translucency. Let's see if we can't show you some of that. There we go. Look at that. Look at that brownish, yellowish color to them. And you can look at that. Look at the translucency to those. Let me get this other light out. And if maybe Latif can do his magic on the light there, we'll be able to give you a better look, because, oh yeah, look at that diopside. Now you can really see the green. Boy, I wish it was all that color, all the androdite, huh? Wouldn't that be neat? Then we'd be talking about a mantoid cluster. But for diopside, that's pretty cool. Now look at the color. See that? If I didn't do this, you might have thought all those were even black crystals. Not at all. Not at all. Many of these probably could be faceted. This is androdite in its, yellowish, brownish color tones, almost like the topazolite of the Madagascar demantoids that have the yellowish garnet with them, the topazolite with them. Look at that. So you can see just how gemmy they are. Now, over on the backside as well. And we'll look at that again in a minute. But you can see again that these are not just dark, opaque crystals. They are all, thank you, sir, translucent to transparent. And so here's the backside of it. So it's all garnet for the most part. And then when you look closer, there is something else. Epidote. Right there. Epidote. Mixed in, and you can see right through there. Because doesn't it look like, let me show it, like the gargoyle? That greenish through there. Now, this white is actually, when you look at this close up, it is, I'll give you a quick look at that, a very cool mineral in itself. And let me see if I can, I'm actually not positive as to what it is. What am I doing wrong? There we go. It could be Thomasite, but that I am going to leave to all of you to do a little homework of your own. Normally I would think it was just some goop that was someone used to try to stick it to something, right? But that's not the case. Nope, has a crystal form. So, but look at that. I love it. It stands up on its own, and that for me counts for a lot. You know how much I like that. That is this very aesthetic with those large crystals clustered together like that. The diopside, very nicely showing off. Here is a rare garnet specimen from a unique locality. And that is a treasure for that reason. A treasure, because you do not find, what we talk about Afghanistan, and we talk about some tourmaline from there, we talk about some lapis and all, but normally not anything to do with andradite garnet. But this is a well-known deposit, though, amongst garnet lovers. $128. $128. And I actually bought this. I actually remember having bought this. It was a number of years ago, and there was a show out when it used to be, instead of the Tellus Mineral Museum. Anyway, there was a show at a local motel, and you're talking about going way back, more than a decade ago, and a show, and there was just some dealers set up at a motel near there, and I walked by this one dealer. He only had some things out there. I was with that garnet snatching raven that got the Outokumpu, Finland, crazy beautiful uvarovite from me. I mean, big uvarovite in matrix. I wasn't going to let her get this one. Taught her too well. So with that green, beautiful. It's excellent. If you want something neat and unusual, there it is. Now, here, let's look at item 120-31-24. 120-31-24. This cheapskate Shawn is actually going to include a stand with this one, because I think if you didn't know what else to do with it, on a stand at least, it is gorgeous. Just look at that. Look at the quality. That is some of the finest quality lapis. B disc, and they pronounce the P like a B, kind of in between. I don't know if I have that down right, but that idea of the disc, why you actually see that is done in different materials, especially jade, is in ancient times it was thought, or probably still in these times, used as a conduit for communication to the gods, so to speak. And hence that's some of the, why you see it, and especially jade, especially in the Asian culture, jade, and how it was used for the same purpose, then carved in this, I think gave it extra special powers. But they started carving it instead of just jade into all kinds of other mineral specimens. It was the quality of the lapis. It's like, wow, they used a really fine quality of lapis. That's the one side here, and here's the other side. And this side, because it has a little bit of calcite mixed in, actually fluoresces orange in those areas. So that's kind of neat. But a beautiful piece. It could be cut into cabs if you wanted to use it for cutting material. That would be understandable, if you didn't. Other than that, it just displays really attractively like it is. And I also have a very affordable price on that, especially considering the size and amount of lapis that is. It's only $28. $28. And think about the size of piece of lapis it would take to even cut that kind of quality. Nice large piece, much more expensive than that. Kind of cool.
In your hand.
Look at this. Good idea. Look at that. So, thanks, Latif. Always matters when you give some kind of, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, a size reference. So in my hand, yeah, look. That's huge. 28, my goodness. But seeing that quality. And if you just used it to sit out like that on display anywhere in your house, it's a little miniature work of art. Besides, remember, it's a special communicator, you know? It doesn't flip open like in Star Trek, but it is a communication device. Now, let me show you a real communication device. It's called a quartz crystal. Without a quartz crystal, there'd be no communication devices known, because that's what started it all. Item number 120, 26, 24. 120, 26, 24. The quartz crystal. The beginning, without it, you know, radio and quartz crystals go hand in hand. There's a reason why Silicon Valley is called Silicon Valley. Quartz is only made up of two elements. It's a very simple chemical formula, SiO2. Silicon dioxide makes up the second most common element on the planet. The first, of course, most people get it wrong. They think of all the sand and everything and they say quartz. No, feldspar. Feldspar is the most abundant mineral in the Earth's crust, and silicon, quartz, in other words, is the second most. And Silicon Valley, named for because of the microchip, because of the silicon. Quartz crystal started it all. Now, I'm going to show you a very neat collection that I put together. Well, that was mine, and I'm sharing it. Look at, here we go. First, I have right here one very cool crystal. And let me show you. This is the Brandberg, Namibian amethyst. And let me show you. Look at the phantoms. They start off in the bottom of this crystal. So let me get the light right there. Right there is one way to show you the beginning of them. Okay, so you see that V-shape phantom of where the quartz starts and stops. So each time you see another phantom layer, it's either a change in the color of the amethyst due to change of the chemical makeup of the silica at the time, or it leaves a dusting on the crystal that then quartz continues to grow all over the top of it. And you get multiple phantoms. So look, and now as we look closer in, you can see those multiple phantoms. And depending on the way you turn it, depending on exactly how many make themselves visible. Right there, look at that. Starting off, if I had a third hand, you can see right down there, look at, in that case, I can count at least 7 or 8 different zonal changes. And the phantoms actually go all the way up. They're just, you just have to turn them at that particular angle. There's one for you. Let's look at another one. This is a collection. Here we go. Look at this one. Here's a fun one for you. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. It looks like it is a mountain range. Keep on building all the way up to the highest. Wow, look at that piece. Now, you can see these are where another quartz crystal would have laid against it. Now, this is actually polished. So they took an actual crystal and then they polished the different faces. So you can really see how many times this poor crystal started and stopped. And depending on, look at that, the angle, good job there. And how you turn the light into it depends on how many you see and the look you want to create. Isn't that cool? There we go. There we go. That's beautiful. So let me just add a little light. Can you imagine that on a little lighted base? Look at that. That's like And look, it goes there's one all the way up here at the top. That is Mother Nature. That is amazing. Look how symmetrical, almost at the same growth points each time, because of the same distance almost between each peak. I love that stuff. And one more to this collection tops it off. Wait till you see this one. Oh yeah, it is even better. Not only does it have the phantoms, but it has manifestation crystals. In other words, crystal within crystals. And let me show you that angle. Okay, here is where another crystal had laid against it. This is also a polished crystal. Now, as I turn this, let me get the angle right. Okay, first you want to look at the phantoms? Here, while I have a hand still available. Here they start down here at the bottom. Look at that one right down there. And one below that. Look at that early bird right there. And then if we turn it here, you get to see another one, another one. Okay, so you can be looking for those. What I want to show you are the other crystals. Now, here is the negative impression of them. In other words, these crystals aren't aren't the actual full. In other words, it's the negative where they were, where there was a quartz crystal, and this other quartz had grown around it. By the way, look at all the phantoms from that angle. And what that, or this angle too, wow. What that leaves you with is, they call them penetration crystals as well. Okay, now let me show you. Look at how it looks. Look at those crystals within the crystal. That is so beautiful. And in the metaphysical world, for those of you that are into that part of it, manifestation crystals and phantom crystals have a particular special properties that people attribute to them and are very desirable in the metaphysical community. So you can look at them from the front and you can obviously see 3, 4 of them. And to, again, if you had this on a lighted stand, it would look really beautiful. Actually, I'm just curious. If you can just follow me here, Latif, for a moment. Let's look at this from above. There we go. Oh my. Oh my. You can see the phantoms in this. And you can use one of those little tiny lights and get even a better look. I mean, one of those little battery operated ones that go in those little candles and whatnot, you can get. That is a beautiful piece. Look at those. Look at that. That tops off a collector's quartz collection. Look at that. To have both the phantom showing and the manifestation crystals in it. Really cool. Really cool piece. Thank you, sir. So there you have it. All 3 as part of one collection, and only going to be one of those I can put together. And how about this? All 3 of them for only $56. Only $56. That is a cool collection for that. Okay, now let me show you item number. This 120 1724. 120 1724. This is one that for a moment threw me off guard. For a moment. So I looked at this like so many others. All right, so think to yourself for a moment what you think this is. So what is the crystals growing in the quartz? At first, of course, I thought, oh, that's tourmaline and quartz. But then as soon as I saw this, look at this, from the end, and how flat, I said, that's not tourmaline. That's not trillion or 3-sided or anything like that. Nope. Didn't take long, of course, to figure it out to be actinolite. This is Massachusetts actinolite with oligoclase. So let me show you where that is. And there is calcite. So oligoclase, of course, we know is a type of feldspar. And then calcite. So look at, you can see right there those reflections coming off of that certainly is not quartz when you see that. Oligoclase is considered to be one of the moonstone varieties. And then you have over here, you have this group of non-quartz material. So calcite, which is what this actually is, because you can see that perfect cleavage. See that perfect split, perfect cleavage like that. And under fluorescence, it fluoresces a very light orange. That's the giveaway there. This doesn't, and so this is your oligoclase. Then here, these other crystals are all actinolite. And so someone like Mr. Anthony from Massachusetts might appreciate that. It's kind of central Massachusetts in the southern part. Look at those. Beautiful crystals right there. If you want a specimen from Massachusetts, that is a difficult to find one, but not impossible. But not impossible coming from that particular quarry. It's the Lane and Son quarry, which is actually well known for its actinolites from that particular area, which is pretty neat for Massachusetts, a place like that, to have the specimens that, you know, from Goshenite and all that have come out of there. Pretty neat for it to be as mineralized as it is, much more so than what you normally would think. Now, price on this one, not much, because, but you know, if you tried to find something like that, it would be difficult to find if you were out to collect a specimen like that. It's like, how would you even try to find something? Where would you start? So, how about a really good deal is where I'll start on it. And it's going to be, let me make sure I wrap this stuff up kind of like shipping. And so by the time I get down to, yep, here we go. Only $35 on that. Oh, hold on, wait a second. Wrong bag. Sorry about that. Let's make that $28. $28 on that. Certainly worth that. And it's like one of those, try to find another one. You know, good luck. Now, item number, oh my, 120, 16, 24. 120, 16, 24. And here, look at this. You guys know what this is. I know you know what that is. That is fluorapatite. Now, when I say fluorapatite, that is because I'm going to show you, you're going to hear that, and it needs to be. Most all the apatite you're going to run across is fluorapatite. What fluorapatite, and when you hear like the schuskite, when Barbara was talking about chromium schuskite versus magnesium, well, here's why we talk about that. Here's the formula for apatite. It's a calcium phosphate. Now, the N you see is in parentheses with slashes in between. It can either have chlorine, the Cl, fluorine, or be a hydroxyapatite, the OH. Now, our bones are actually made up of hydroxyapatite. It is the second rarest type of apatite there is, but in our bones, we certainly have it. And apatite, remember, is also piezoelectric. In other words, just like quartz, and that's why quartz works for chips, because under pressure, it generates an electrical current. And that's why some people, like we tested Osif years ago, and he was running, I mean, I think he could light a light bulb in his mouth. Because I have a really sensitive voltage meter, and he really registered positive voltage. Other people can have anions, which can be a negative voltage. So our bones, and that's why therapies oftentimes can, you can press on your bones and it can generate an electrical current. There's a lot they're doing why other electrical currents can heal, like TINs and things like that, because our bodies are an electrical conduit because of the property of hydroxyapatite. Now, most apatite is considered fluoroapatite, in other words, ending in fluorine, but the rarest apatite is chloroapatite. Chlorine. So here is why we talk about the different apatites. So, and how they look as a chemical formula. This is a fluoroapatite. It ends in and has fluorine as part of its makeup. This is from the Epira complex, and for you, Mr. Matt, if you want something to have a little fun with your Geiger counter, this has a radioactive signature because apatite often contains rare earth elements. And what it is it's in these, because apatite is from this area is commonly and almost always fractured looking like it is. And what happens is uranium and thorium oxides fill in as a secondary mineral these cracks in the material. Almost all of the apatite, so those slices you've seen have inclusions like that. So that is where you get that radioactive signature, is because of these openings. You can see it's a hexagonal crystal system it belongs to. You can see the 6 sides like that. And it's really neat for that reason, because it does have a little bit of radioactivity to it. But that, of course, is part of its charm. Now, oh good, I still have a few minutes with you because we still got a lot to do. So let's get to it. Okay, let's look at item 120. Oh yeah, thank you. The price would help. Maybe I'll make, let's see. And by the way, the apatite comes from the Greek word to deceive, as misled mineralogists in its identification for a long time. Price on this, only $28 on that. So great specimen for $28. Let's look at item number 120-1824. 120-1824. And this is a neat piece, because let me show you. So I have it in here. You get to see it. Look at this. Oh yeah, you see that? Look at that. Look at that. You got it. You see it. One of the finest quality cat's eye moonstones. The clarity. It is facet grade clarity. I guess I should have kept it against the black background. Hold on a second. Let me get. Oh, hold on. This has one of the finest eyes of any cat's eye moonstone I've ever seen, and the clarity is phenomenal. And the eye, look at that eye. I mean, that is perfect. There's no secondary eye. It is strictly from a optical point of view. There's only one direction that eye forms, and that's really, really cool. Look at how perfect that is, with a little bit of blue in it as well. That is one of the finest moonstones that cat's eye moonstones I've ever actually seen, with that one incredible high dome. And look at that eye opening and closing just like it's supposed to, and hence the word cat's eye. And remember, cat's eye moonstone. Have to say that. All right, there you go. That is a real collector's gem, and needs to be appreciated for it is amazing, amazing quality. Price on that is only $58. Only $58 on that. And I wouldn't even know how to go about finding another one of that type of quality. But Quality is everything. So let me show you item number 120 2024. 120 2024. And here we have a whole bunch of moonstones. Check these out. Check these out. I have set them up for you. I went through a lot of effort. I made this little tape, sticky tape, and held it on with these others. And so you can see 4 matched pairs. Now, the thing about it is some of these have somewhat of a cat's eye to them. But I just put them in with the regular matched pairs because they were matched pairs. So there is 4 matched pair of moonstones. You have some peach moonstones and some beautiful, beautiful white moonstones. How about this? All 4 sets of moonstone for, sometimes I wonder about myself. Only $32. $32 for all 4 sets. Can't put together another set like that either, by the way. So that was just a special for you. Okay, next item. As I have to speed up because I want to get to everything. Item number 120 22 24. 120 22 24. Look at this. I haven't been able to offer you anything like this in a while because I kept it for myself. Kunzite parcel. Parcel of kunzites, and I tumbled them all. And of course, kunzite is so dichroic that when you look at it from the end, from the C-axis, it looks a whole different color. Much stronger pinkish to a pinkish purple color when you look down from the end. But look at these. So these are fun. That one may cut a cat's eye in some form or fashion. But the neatest thing is they fluoresce. They're fluorescent orange. So this is really for a fluorescent lover's collection if you want to get the biggest bang for the buck. Here's a preform of a facet grade stone that is somewhat in a preform. That would cut a stone pretty clean. And this one would as well. So anyway, beautiful orange. Price on the batch. Let's see. Yeah, so the whole bunch of them, everything you see, only $28. $28. That's a deal. Next, I will put everything away later. Item number 120 15 24. What do we have next here? Oh, okay. Oh, yes, sir. It is item 120 15 24. And wow, I have not offered anything like this in a long time. Look at that. So for those of you who have not gotten the fabulous 4 minerals that I had gotten flats of and have sold down, sphene, triplite, zircon, and pink apatite. These are the red zircons, and boy, I tell you what, if you don't have anything that fluoresces shortwave fluorescence, you need to get a Pakistani zircon. These fluoresce a beautiful, beautiful yellow under shortwave, yellow fluorescence. And you can see the shape of that crystal. This is a really nice crystal form to it. You can see how it comes to 4 pointed sides. So this is missing a little piece of it over here. Here, this will show what it comes to. So you have 4 sides, and if there was no gap in between, it would look like a pyramid base to base. But most of the time, the zircons, look at this, will do this. It'll have the length of the body, and then it'll have another termination just like that. This could easily be removed from the matrix, and you'd have a gorgeous, complete, it looks like, wow, you would. I don't know why. Maybe that's why I kept this, I think, to do that. A doubly terminated red zircon crystal. Wow, with biotite mica. And, wow, my mind is thinking of other things, basically like keeping it. That's a really gemmy crystal coming from that area too. Price on this one, especially with the cool shortwave fluorescence part, and that kind of crystal. Only $48 on this one. Only $48 on that. And that is one of the very few of any of those red zircons that I have left. Let's look at item. Oh, and by the way, yes, they do have a count per minute as well. So for those of you should know what CPM means by now. That's what my Geiger counter does. It tells you counts per minute. Item 120, 33, 24. This one, not real high, but it definitely registers. I've had other ones of these that register really, really high. A lot of rare earth elements involved, remember, with zircons. No matter what zircons they are, there is that element of rare earth elements that can cause that. So let's look at this next deal. Item 120, 33, 24. Okay, if any of you got in on, or bought the last deal, I have one more of these Ethiopian opal deals. Check these out. This is either for specimens or cutting rough. Look at the size of these pieces and look at the clarity and quality of that. That is facet grade. Look at that. That is a huge piece. Here, I threw in one of the original. Look at this. This is not smoked or anything. This is old Macesso chocolate opal material. And let me show you. Most of this material was known for its phrasing. Now, I assume that because of the color, this is an old Macesso piece, but due to the perfect clarity, you can see there, this actually has no crazing, which most of the Macesso material did. So that is absolutely cuttable, and I really debated about, and then, but that's all of this, why I have it is because every time I look at this, I'm going to cut that, I'm going to cut that, I'm going to cut that, and I've kept so much that there, if I cut start to finish every day, I would never be able to get through everything I have set aside for me to cut. So I'm sharing it with those of you, either as specimens, look at that, or for cutting material, because even as specimens, you can play with the hydrophane property of it, you know, because these will, some of them will become opaque and still have fire, but if they dry out, that's what happens with hydrophane opal. Look at that one. Look at that one. That one has a little bit of a bicolor look to it, a little bit darker on one end than the other, but amazing fire. Look at this. There is a classic piece. Look at all that color in that. That is on fire. And then this one as well. So you have a little bit of every color classic to the Ethiopian material, which is the yellowish material, the clear white. You have some of the darker material there, and just amazing material right there. So this parcel is 55 carats. The one I sold the other day, it was 50 carats, so very similar. And price on this batch, an excellent value like the other one. Only $68. $68. You can't, when we got that parcel, that was a long time ago when prices, well, you can't even find that kind of stuff anymore. Item number 120-1924. 120-1924. Let me see here. Yeah, I got a few minutes left here. Maybe we can get to it. Let me see real quick. What do we have here? Oh, here we go. All right. If you couldn't swing that really high-end moonstone, take a look at that. Now, there's a classic, beautiful cat's eye moonstone. Look at that one. Just not as clear. Look at that one. That one, even having some blue in it. Look at that eye opening and closing. That is a, let me actually do this. There we go. Look at that. Now that is beautiful. Just not quite as clear. So you have the three different kind of grades of clarity between those three stones. So I separated these two. That one is beautiful. Anyway, price for both of them, an exceptional opportunity. Look at that. Of only $24. $24 for the two. Okay, let me see. We're going to get to item number, 120, 23, 24. 120, 23, 24. We're going to hopefully make it here. And check this out. If you wanted a large one and didn't see one large enough when I was offering the Koroits before, look at this. Look at the size of that. Now, this is a great lesson stone as well because it has everything that you think of. Here's your red jasper, what's considered your red jaspers that you see. And then if you tilt the angle, you see this reflective, metallic looking stuff here. That's hematite. Oh, item. That would, okay. Yeah, this is, sorry about that. This is 120, 23, 24. 120, 23, 24. So you have your hematite that is, of course, that's where this is called ironstone. So you naturally have an iron content. That's why you have your red jasper getting at the iron and the color as well from the hematite. And look at, oh yeah, isn't that pretty? You can see by this shape of the fire, look at all that blue, that it's a Koroit from the Koroit area, which has these very specific kind of little bone thin shape, odd features to the play of color. Look at that fire down there. Has several, then look at the back. Look at the back. It is a double-sided piece. It can be drilled right in the middle. I'll even drill it for anybody if they want to make a pendant out of it. Or it's just, it's so large that this is a piece that you could literally just leave out as a display item. Put it on a nightstand. Look at that. And just put it out for display. Price on this one, you're not going to believe it. That large of a gem, 96 carats. How about this? Make it $88. Less than $1 a carat. Wow. I bet upstairs that would be, go for a lot more than that. Let's look at item number 120, 32, 24. 120, 32, 24. And look at this. How about this? So speaking of Australia, see, I kind of have it going on, organized, Australia. Koroit opal to the other thing Australia is famous for. This is from the Kandala mine. Don't have time to go into it, but those are the good friends of mine that personally own the mine. This mine was actually written up in rock and gem, and they were the ones that, when I went to Australia, they are the hosts that I hung out and stayed with, and her husband later passed away when he was in Tucson at the gem show. That's a whole nother story. Look at that. Look at that. That is gem quality chrysoprase with a sterling silver dolphin. It could be double-sided piece, and price on this is a giveaway deal because the stone alone is worth more than that. $36 on that. Only $36 on that. Let me show you. Item number 120, 30, 24. We are almost to the end. I have another incredible, look at this, something you haven't seen me offer maybe ever. But I used to sell a lot of this. A lot of this. Look at that. That is only one I can probably offer. No, it's not a platinum nugget, but it does look like one. That is an incredible meteorite. And since meteorites have really kind of been in the news lately, it's neat to be able to offer you that. Yep, 120, 30, 24. And sterling silver. And it's from Anna King, who I know a lot of you may not be familiar because I haven't offered that much jewelry, but she was my primary silver manufacturer and dealer. And there is her logo, the king, and the crown there, Anna King. Sterling silver. This is from Campo del Cielo, the huge meteor fall in Argentina. Campo del Cielo means field of the sky. That is a day that luckily no one was around about 5,000 years ago when the sky, the field fell from the sky. That's pretty much what happened. One of the largest meteorite falls and strewn fields ever. You can tell the difference between these and the scotoline, the other popular meteorites, because of kind of the form they are. They're more irregular. That one is a excellent, excellent deal. And I'm not going to have another one of these to offer. It's only $48. The silver work alone would be worth that. So let's see. That said, let me show you one. Let me make sure I have done what I need to do, and we'll wrap it up with this next item, even though there is always more to go. But item number 118, 9724. 118, 9724. This will be the last item of the show. Let me show it to you. And what in the world is that? Okay, this is a special. It's a 2-element special. First, it is this group of opals. Look at those. Look at those. Now, don't be totally thrown off, because there is, and we're not going to look at all these, no need to. I just want to point out the ones that are an issue, because some are crazed. Other than that, of course, it would be a small fortune. Look at that. But that is crazing in it. So basically, I'm giving that one away. And this one, and that's what can happen, is crazed, but unless you catch it at the right angle, you don't see it. You see it? See that little line going through there? See, isn't that ridiculous? And for that, you know, you have to deeply discount the opals. But look at this. Here's a black opal. And again, right at that angle. See that little bit of crazed line? But who is ever going to normally know? So this though, look at this. It's only chipped at the end. There is nothing wrong with this opal. This one opal is going to be worth the entire amount I ask. So it can be just cut and trimmed up. And then you get a couple little extra smaller stones. And then, on top of that, a bonus. Look at this. 3 pieces of rough. Of cuttable rough, and these have been preformed, and they haven't been soaked in water, so these would probably completely go transparent, but even without, fantastic color for the 3 pieces. And so a great set of learning stones. And how about this? I'm going to discount this one. I offered it before, so you know it's going to get a discount, and the entire batch. And I've had people requesting for the amount that one opal, $48. $48. That one opal I showed you is worth the entire parcel. That the one that was not crazed. So an excellent value if it's right for you. Okay, I have a big mess to clean up, but first, let me come back to you with a couple trivia questions. Be right back. Okay, so was that exciting? I thought it was. It certainly is exciting to see these things. It takes me so long to inventory. I get to so enjoy the pieces, like I want all of you to do the same, whether it's this andradite or this incredible multi-layered almost gem silica. It basically is. It's the silica with, you know, the coloring, just not able to cut a capuchon from it. But people do make jewelry just out of pieces like that. They wire wrap. What a great piece to wire wrap something like that. So it can actually absolutely be used as a piece of jewelry. So, you know, so when I get them, it gives me a chance to do what I want all of you to do, and that is to, like, you know, Miss Barbara, she gets out her microscope and looked at the Shuskyite. Very lucky to get that Uvarovite. I almost want it back, but especially with that rare Shuskyite in it, and being my birthstone. But a lot I am, because garnets I love, so you're going to see those things. And I just am like I was 11 and 12 years old all over again. It takes me a long time to do inventory because of just the intense research that I do. But it's not just for this show. I still am doing it because it's my hobby, and I absolutely adore learning about these minerals and looking into them under the highest of magnification and seeing the perfection of Mother Nature and, what she does to bring us these things. And still, there's new finds being found. Just like every year, there are hundreds of new species being found. Just this past week, I read a 7-foot long, narrow snout-nosed, I'm talking about it's got a long snout, snake was found crossing the road in India. Green. Never before discovered. How does that happen? But it happens. Same thing can happen with minerals, as you've found out, and with gems. Look at the new gems that can still be found. So that's why, as Mr. Anthony says, eyes down, because that's where what's to be found is on the ground. I added that last part, but it made sense and it rhymed. Okay, here we go. You ready? A couple of easy trivia questions for you, I think. We're going to have a What Is This coming up, because I like doing that as well. But not today. And you know what I brought that I forgot to show you, but that's okay. There's next week, is the crystal. Look how close it was. But we were doing so many other things. So this was full of liquid. I let it naturally evaporate. And what it did was it grew crystals on the bottom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take those crystals, and those are going to become the seed crystals to grow something bigger. I added some other chemical in there they should fluoresce, actually. And I added a pigment and made them amethyst color. So I am actually tried to grow them on top of quartz. Didn't go so well. I'll show you my failures so you can learn from me. But in this project, I was growing seed crystals for a additional project. So we'll see how all that goes. So you see, I got it all going on for you because I love this stuff. All right. So here we go. Number one, what mineral usually has to be present to cause quartz to change to blue or green color tone? What mineral usually has to be present to create gem silica, is one way, or to cause druzy quartz crystals to become greenish or bluish in color? What mineral needs to be present? So remember, you got to watch how I word things. Second question. Name 3 minerals mentioned. So 3 minerals mentioned that are found with choroid opal other than opal. I can see you guys. I already know right out of the bat. What are the 3? Oh, opal. No. Not counting opal. Name 3 other minerals mentioned that is found or can be found, not always, but mentioned it can be found in a choroid boulder opal piece. Okay, that's it. I wanted to add another one, but I'm not this week. So we'll take it easy on you. I'm actually looking forward to going home and it raining. I really hope. We need the rain down here, and the little bit cooler temperatures are here as well. Add rain to it, and then it will make a great day for me. Both Raven and I, we love a rainy day. We love thunder, love lightning, and yeah, we're just those kind of people. So you would love to see what the Raven is wearing today. She has some of the most creative, hippie type cool outfits. and I help her. She actually takes my opinion. Should I, wear this amazing piece of jewelry earring today, or this incredible 3-inch long boulder opal, or 4-inch, I'm not kidding you, 4-inch across rhodochrosite slice pendant, or, should I wear my $50,000 14 karat color change, absolutely clean, light pink star sapphire inherited by her grandfather that I reset in a ring. And, along with, on the other hand, she'll have what I believe to be Burma origin Nohi sapphire, bought in the 20s by her, again, grandfather that she inherited. There was also a green diamond in the estate, a real green diamond before the days of radiation green diamonds, yeah. But her sister, I think, got that one. Anyway, so what I'm saying is she would wear those rings, and next to them, on the other hands, will be a bat ring of silver, or a a $15 ring she likes, so some silver orchard. And then she's like the Wonder Woman with her bracelets on her arm. So anyway, let me add one thing. She's had a problem with her wrist. I already say she's going to turn blue like the Smurfs from having too much silver content. There's a family in Kentucky that they actually literally were blue. I think in particular, especially this one gentleman, and he was, when it was real popular a long time ago, doing silver colloids, I think they call them. And whatever happened, I forget the entire story, but he was basically blue by taking in too much silver. So I always tell her, because of the amount of silver she wears, that she's going to turn blue. So anyway, she said, people probably think she's crazy. She said her wrist is hurt, but she started wearing copper bracelets that she had. And, maybe it's psychosomatic. It doesn't matter to me. But if it's something helps her wrist, and right now she's believing in copper because she actually said it's making a difference. And who am I to say anymore that there are not cures like that are just that simple? Mother Nature has put everything here on this earth, as I am to believe, and as I do believe, that we need for our existence. And, if we don't destroy it all first. So, whether it's in her mind that it works, or whether there's actual physical properties to copper that are doing it. Hey, as long as it works. So don't ever discount these things, because you never know, for one, how much your mind may play a part in it. And you never know, too, how much there really is a metaphysical part to these elements and minerals put here that does not and will, doesn't or may have an effect, a positive effect on our health. And I have real life stories I could tell you that follow up on that, but that's for another day. Okay, so I've enjoyed this show, I hope, as much as all of you, and I think you guys are enjoying them as well. Getting a lot more pieces shown, and I think that's part of it. We have a lot more things to show you. I am not anywhere near what I estimate now to be, maybe I had a 20,000 piece collection. I don't know, but we're, probably close to 5,000 items sold strong here in 7 years without me buying a single item. And we're nowhere near the bottom of the bucket. So, yeah, you never know what you're going to see next, because I never know what I am going to find at home next. God bless all of you. Thank you so much for participating and being such a big, important part of this show. I thank the guys for being, to go along with my insanity and being part of that insanity. And all of that, I think, makes it a show worth watching and a show that all of you have enjoyed so much. We have 10,700 subscribers now, adding 100 a month. So let's continue that trend. I didn't even know until a few months ago about this like and subscribe thing. Miss Barber told me how to do it. Thumbs up, like and subscribe. Until then, never before have I asked one time to like and subscribe to the show. I figure if it's a worthy show, then you guys know how to do it on your own without me having to ask you to do such a thing. But I guess it never helps to remind you, huh? All right. Cheers. And I will see you next Monday. Thank you.